What if I told you today's guest didn't grow up seeing spirits, didn't have any childhood visions, didn't even believe in any of it? She went from Catholic to atheist to developing into a full practicing psychic medium later in life. Tonight, we are talking about how anyone can tap into intuitive abilities and what it actually feels like to connect with spirit. And the moment she realized this wasn't just a coincidence, it was real. This is the story of Amanda Soto, and this one gives us all hope. Welcome to Rad Conversations.
Welcome to the Rad Conversations podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Rad Conversations. This week, we have a wonderful conversation with psychic medium Amanda Soto. This episode should give anyone hope who's ever wished they had the ability to be a psychic medium but weren't born with the gift. Because Amanda tells us how it's not too late for us to develop the ability to do it. Because she didn't have any special gifts growing up, but during COVID, she was able to develop her abilities through online training to be a psychic medium. Her website is amandasotomedium.com, and she has done over 500 readings. All that and more coming up on this episode of Rad Conversations. And remember, if you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and share. All right, let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Hi, thank you for having me.
What can you tell our audience about being a psychic medium?
Oh, well, it's pretty awesome, I have to say. I've really enjoyed learning that there is more magic in the world than we know. And I just wish everyone could experience and feel it and have this understanding. But I'm here just to kind of help spread the word that this is accessible to everyone. And we all have these abilities, and even if you don't want to be a full medium, knowing that there is life after death and that there is more to this universe and our world than we can see.
Fantastic. Can you give us a little background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I did not grow up seeing dead people at the foot of my bed, which is like
Too
the common
bad.
story, In fact, I really didn't have any inkling of any of this for most of my life. I grew up hardcore Catholic. Then it took, when I got to college and grad school, it took a while for me to kind of say, okay, I am an atheist or agnostic. I just don't know really what's out there. And then at that point, I came back to Texas, and my best friend from college, she lived in Texas. And so we started talking a bit more. And at that point, she was developing as a medium. She had it for a while, but she just kind of pushed it away, which is common. Like when you're young, you're more open to it. It's just more natural. And then the older you get, you kind of just get trained out of thinking about it and not using your intuition. So she started developing, and I was like, and I think I had seen at this point like Teresa Caputo, and I was always very interested, but she came to the house the first time, and I was like, what? This is real? And I believed her. I mean, of course, she's my best friend. There's no reason for her to lie. And then she started doing readings, and I had recently just lost my dog, Murphy, and some of the readings that she did, like it all confirmed, like it just all confirmed and blew me away, and then I started having my own little experiments with his toy and him moving it and things like that. And so from there just took off, but it was still another like 7 or 8 years where I would listen to her experiences. I was like, oh, I wish I could do this. And you have the gift and you have, and
Wow.
oh man, it's so amazing. And then, she tried little exercises, intuitive exercises with me, but I could never get anything, and I was like, I suck. Then COVID hit, and I think it was like a year or so later, and she started teaching online because of COVID. And then I had sabbatical for a year from the university. And so I decided that she started offering the mentorship, and I took it.
Wow.
And that was, I think, 21, 22.
So growing up, you never had a aha moment. What is going on here? You just developed this later in life.
Yep.
Wow. All
Just 'cause
right.
nobody told me, there's another story. It's like, I went to a medium and they told me I was going to be doing this, nobody told me any of that. It's just, I want to learn. I want to know how to do this. And if you're saying anyone can do this, then let's go. Let's try it out.
Wow. So have you visited psychics before this?
Not so much. I was going to some of the fairs, around here, and I would get some readings, but they were never really, it wasn't mediumship readings. I tried to find mediumship readings and I really couldn't. So the only mediumship readings I had gotten at that point were from my best friend. And her name's Jennifer Fezio at Intuitive Insights. Give her a little shout out there. And she does still teach. She has lots of different levels and things like that. But yeah, never really had a knockout, standout reading before.
Well, that's great. You gave your friend a shout out, but give yourself a shout out. What's your website? How people can reach you?
Yeah, amandasotomedium.com. And the socials like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are Amanda Soto Medium or Amanda S Medium.
So this is fascinating. So everyone else I've talked to so far has always had something happen early in life and maybe they pushed it away and then they came back to it later in life, but you were just bored and had free time and you developed your gift. That's fantastic. That gives us all hope.
Yeah, I can do it. Anybody can do it.
So you went, how long did it take you to kind of develop this with your friend?
It took about 3 years. I mean, I'm still in development. I will always be in development. I will always try to get better. But it really took about 3 years before I felt comfortable to give readings to other people other than my practice mates, And then I saw one of my friends go public and I was like, oh, she can do it. I can do it, And I said, okay, well, let me start by giving free readings. So I did a whole bunch of free readings. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And so then I just kind of pushed myself out into the public and it was super scary. But then I started just doing fairs and then I hooked up with the local metaphysical shop here in New Braunfels and read for them for Victoria Cisneros, who's at Savage Mana. And then she was like, okay, you can come, like you rent the reading room, So that's how I've been slowly kind of getting myself out. It's been a little over 2 years now since I've been doing this professionally.
Nice. So what did your family and friends' reaction to when you came out of the closet on being a medium?
Yeah, I was super lucky because my best friend Jennifer had already come out and I had her readings with a lot of my family and my friends. And so, she kind of had already broken the ice for all my people, and I would tell everybody about her. And so then when I came out as a medium, they were like, yeah, no big deal. I didn't really have, I mean, some of my friends don't agree with what I do or don't understand or don't care for it, but they've never really shunned me, so I'm very appreciative of that, and I don't force it on anyone either, so I don't need to prove what I do to anyone.
Have you had a lot of blowback then when you came out and when you put yourself out there? If you were my friend, I'd be calling you every 5 minutes for advice on stuff. So it's amazing that people push you away instead of just embrace you and say, come here, Amanda, I got some questions for you.
Yeah. Not really, actually. I think because I started charging, maybe they kind of are respecting that. I do for my friends. I mean, I always offer free readings for my friends. And, I always, if they're going through a hard time or something's going on, I always offer them a free reading and hardly anybody takes it. It's so bizarre because a lot of them are just afraid or they're not ready. And that's okay. I say maybe years in the future, the offer still stands.
Now, what was the moment when you realized you could do this? What happened that you were like, hey, I could actually do this?
It was in practice sessions and in class, it was confirmed, right? So when we do a reading, we have to get confirmation, right? Or else I don't believe it. And so there I was like, okay, I can do this. But then when I started giving the free readings and they were a bit longer, because in class, you only do 7 to 10 minute contacts, so it's not very long. But, what's a 30-minute? What's a 45-minute? And so, like, feel like, and I did that, and I was like, okay, and there were some real beautiful messages that came through, and I was just hooked and sold. And when you connect, you have to raise your vibration to match spirit. So spirit lowers their vibration and we raise ours. So then you like feel so wonderful afterwards and you get addicted to the beautiful feeling after a reading and during the reading. Yeah.
For your first one, though, you connected with a friend and you were able to connect with like the grandparent, or how did you know that you were really making connection with this?
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah.
I don't even remember, because first you start off like we started off meditation, and I used to have to do this meditation for a long, like it's meditation just to tap in and tune in. And it first started with like, I feel a male, I feel a female, and I didn't really know who I was having there at that point, So, and then slowly you start to bring in pictures or little things. And so I can't even remember my first reading where like everything just kind of hit, it's been so long, my memory sucks. So
But when you do these mediums with people, do you get energized, or does it kind of deplete you a little bit after you do your reading?
energized. And then it's like a high, and then I can crash. Like if it's a really long day of readings, or like there's a fair I do in San Antonio called Paranormal Fest or Psychic and Spirit Fest. And that one's like an all day thing in the heat. And, it'll take me a day or two to recover from that
wow.
one. Yeah. Because I'll do like 10, 15 readings there. And that's a lot of energy.
I think I just saw an advertisement for that on my Facebook the other day, like the 5th annual psychic fair in San Antonio or
It's
whatever.
really cool. It's hot, but it's cool.
Now that you've opened this up to yourself, do you want to go full time with this? I know you have a full time job, but like, would you rather do this full time or kind of split the difference? Or
Yeah, that is something at first, because there's been a lot of drama and trauma in my job. And I was like, oh, this would be wonderful if I could do this full time. And then I started to research and like, what is the whole business side of it? And it is a hustle, and I don't know if doing it full time would take the joy out of reading, and having to depend on that for livelihood. And then there's just no way you can make a full livelihood on one-on-one readings, right? It doesn't matter how much you charge, you're still charging for the time. And so I've been really doing a lot of work. And then I was just thinking, you know what? Maybe I should just do it on the side, and it's fun and I enjoy it. It's a creative outlet, and my job is fine. I have a job. I'm very grateful for it. And I love the students and everything like that. So I don't know. It's still yet to be determined. But if there's if it blows up and I can do it full time, I would love it too. So
yeah, I mean, you're helping people either way, but it's great to have options. How many readings do you think you've done at this point?
oh gosh. Oh, that's probably over like 500 or 600 readings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are some of them easier to get into
Yes.
with the connection with the person? And what's the difference there when you...
It's, well, one of the things that makes a difference is the need, right? So like if they really need a message, if it's really important, it'll come through. The other one is the energy of the other person. So the more open they are, the more ready they are, it just makes a huge difference in what kind of reading they're going to get. And I know probably skeptics are out there and being like, well, yeah, if you're more open, you're just going to believe anything. But it really does matter a lot. And there's been a couple of readings where I just couldn't vibe with them. I don't know what, they were just really shut down, and it was a struggle. And I think one of them I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to return your money because it's not working here. So yeah,
I'm all in on psychics and mediums. I've been to probably 30 at this point, and yeah, I can't get enough of them. I've been to some really great ones in this area, and I've in other parts of the country, and then I've been to really some terrible ones that just give you the most generic reading, which once someone's sick in your family, and you're gonna have car problem. I one time sold my car because they said, oh, you're gonna have car problems. And I was like, well, okay, I better get rid of my car. And I sold it to a friend. The car was fine for years. You know, It was like, yeah, I can't listen to everything, but I've been told over the years, like, I'm going to find my soulmate in my mid 40s, and this is in my 20s, and that's what happened. I didn't meet my wife until I was in my mid 40s. My brother-in-law thinks, hey, just because they told you, that's what you're holding on to. And it's like, no, if I met the one before, I wouldn't hold out. Thanks for watching the show today, folks. And if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share. And like always, stay rad.